power is a gift. You're God's champion.
It will enhance whatever natural abilities you already possess.
Netflix's Warrior Nun has to be one of the most unique superhero drama series. Even though there is only one season released, this show is not exactly confined by the type of superhero code that most shows and movies follow. In this series, pretty much anything works out, but without all the CGI used in it, it kind of looks weird. Before we start, please remember to give us some love by hitting that subscribe button and turn on notifications. That way, you will never miss out latest updates on Warrior Nun. What did people actually think about the series? Was it really that good? In this show, there is a lot of blood and gore and also a lot of special effects. The CGI plays a big role in telling the story of a 19-year-old woman who unexpectedly wakes up in a morgue with a new lease of life and a divine artifact embedded in her back. After discovering she is now part of the ancient order of the cruciform sword that has been tasked with fighting demons on Earth, powerful forces representing both heaven and hell want to find and control her. Ava Silva's superpowers are what keeps people hooked to the show. And not to forget the group of vigilantes who want to have control over her. To say the least, this show would be completely different without the use of special effects that we see on screen. Warrior Nun is based on a manga-style comic book series with the same name. As I mentioned earlier, the story starts with an orphan teen who discovers that she now possesses superpowers after waking up in a morgue. She is in fact the chosen halo bearer for a secret sect of demon-hunting nuns. When I first saw the first season, it seemed like a Catholic Buffy show. The show takes inspiration from the comics and even includes some of the characters. It tells the story of a new halo bearer named Ava, played by Alba Baptista. Ava takes on the mantle from Sister Shannon. I gotta admit, when I first heard that title Warrior Nun, I thought that it sounded kind of cheesy, but I had to check it out. I have to say that the demon-hunting nuns seem laughable at first, but when you think about it, this show starts making a lot of sense. The theory behind it actually makes this show really interesting. Nuns who have dedicated themselves to God are the ones fighting off the evil beings in the show. I enjoyed the lore of this story and how it gave us a sort of unique twist on what it means to be a person of faith. In fact, throughout the series, we dive into some really interesting topics, including science versus religion, the path to heaven versus hell, angels versus demons. It also includes the corruption in the church, miracles, and getting a second chance at life, figuring out your path faith versus just blindly following orders and the power of sisterhood and found family. Okay, since we haven't actually seen heaven, hell, and demons, these parts of the show required some heavy CGI to be completed. The show is set in Spain and parts of it also takes place in Italy, and I would really like to give it up to the gorgeous architectural cinematic shots of the set. Even the costumes look so perfect and they really suck you inside this different world. But even though Ava is resurrected as the chosen halo bearer for the sect, the teen, however, has no intentions of leading this pack of warrior nuns in this mission. She wants to live her life and do all the normal things that she has not been able to do. The fact she now has superpowers is an advantage. The script then begins to dilute a little as it takes many monologues by Ava that portrays the disarray that she finds herself in at every step. Why is Ava the chosen one? This is a question that not only plagues Ava herself, but also the many other more equipped and capable nuns, and at some point, you as a viewer too. There is a serious attempt at humor, probably to lighten the mood or stay cool, but unfortunately, some of the dialogues during these attempts could make you cringe. What works for this series are the rest of the warrior nuns. Every nun is a gifted fighter, and here is where the action works its magic. What also works is the name of each of the episodes. Each is the name of a chapter and verse from the Bible, thereby bringing in the relevance of what is written in the holy book to Ava's character in the show. The names of characters in the show are representational of the role they play in the biblical sense as well. Take for instance Adrian, the angel who the nuns believe saved the life of the first warrior nun, Ariella, by placing the sacred relic in her and therefore making her the first halo bearer. What does the show exactly look like without CGI? In the holy book, the story of Adrian reveals a completely different truth that, again, connects to the character in the show. What may not work here is the CGI used to depict the demons, and what definitely does not work is the fact that the story takes a while before it really sets in. However, if you do manage to bear with the first few episodes, this is a story filled with characters that grow on you. Though, to make up for the slag in the initial storyline, there are some awesome locations, aided with good cinematography to keep you company. Warrior Nun is also in the works of season 2 as we speak. Now, I understand that these comics are pretty dark, but I had no idea that they were worse than the show. It makes sense that you can add much more when pictures and the reader's imagination really cover the moments, instead of really having to create those moments on screen. But have no fear, this show did not shy away from creating some incredible and huge scenes that were filled with gross CGI stuff. The showrunners packed as much punch into the show as they possibly could, and they did all of that by using a combination of practical effects effects, special effects, and CGI effects. These three effects are the things that create real-life-like scenes, like the physical suits that the creatures wear or the stage blood that they were covered in. But these are just some of the things they add to the scene to enhance it. For example, if there is a ray of light, the editors recreate it to make thousands of light beams coming out on the set using CGI. If you don't really have a clear picture of what CGI really is, it is computer-generated imagery, where editors create something out of nothing. In Warrior Nun, the creatures act in front of a green screen and they are then added in the background. Or if they act with another human actor, they use all these techniques in the show to make the scenes really incredible and of course, really memorable. Another thing that is important for the scenes to look realistic was the location. The location is always important with many shows. The place where it is set becomes an important part of the show's theme. Warrior Nun is set in Spain, a dark and somewhat scarier Spain where there is loads of space for things to happen and lots of places for people to hide or hide things they don't want to be found. For this show, Spain, in my opinion, is the perfect backdrop. This European country is vast and gives loads of options for what could happen next. But you would be surprised once you realize that almost none of the scenes from Warrior Nun were actually filmed in Spain, even though they look like it. Most of the show was filmed in Italy, but when you add in some amazing special effects, you can create some truly awesome backgrounds. For example, many of the buildings in the show look and appear dark and enchanted. They sure are intimidating and impressive, but in reality, they are just normal European buildings that usually appear with bright colors when you see them with the naked eye. The buildings and backgrounds are cool and all, but not all that scary or imposing. But with a little bit of showbiz magic, they were digitally altered and extended to become the buildings we see in the show. Showrunners also revealed that the fighting scenes were the most difficult scenes of the entire series. They had to do a lot of practical things and blend that in with a lot of special effects if they wanted to make it as realistic as possible. For these scenes, they also had to do a lot of research and tests they needed in order to know what it would look like to fight supernatural beings. When Ava is fighting, editors make sure to use her natural movements and wire tricks to help make it more realistic and believable. To create her powers, editors had to work hard to make sure that the light didn't bend unnaturally. For this, they mostly used the suit and practical effects to make her powers more believable. The only place that Ava needed more effects was making her breathing more realistic for the scenes to not look completely ridiculous. The most important part of the show is that they focus on each little detail and create scenes to make the show worth watching. Warrior Nun is a show that is completely unique and like no other. It is all the little details that help create the magic. What do you think about this show? Did you enjoy it, or do you think it could have been better? We would love to read your comments. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. See you next time.